Greetings, wonderful audience. How are we doing today? Welcome to another Audit Tuesday. Today, we are very fortunate because we are going to be talking today and we're spotlighting the EU's DORA guidance. That is the Digital Operational Resilience Act out of the EU. Now, it's a pretty involved topic and it requires experts, and unfortunately, we have one today. We have GRC expert out of Luxembourg working for Concedro, a recognized authority in governance, cyber, and compliance. Please welcome, and I welcome Ralf Menegatti. Thanks, Ralph.
Hello, Gareth. Thanks for the invitation. I'm happy to show what it means to be compliant under DORA.
Fantastic. Can you give the audience a little background of yourself and also Concedro?
Yes, of course. I'm more than 25 years active in the financial services and regulatory space, active as project manager and regulatory expert. And right now I am heavily working since more than a year for the DORA regime and to help companies to be compliant.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so let's get started. So, Ralph, what is EU DORA? That is the Digital Operational Resilience Act, and why does it exist, and why does it matter to our audience?
Well, actually, it came as a kind of a framework for all the different cyber and IT regulations that were here and there, created, but a real framework overall was missing. And the EU said after, let's say, always rising cyber attacks and being, exposed to hackers and to a great loss of private data, they said they are in need of such a regulation that goes deeper than just, like creating a firewall or installing a virus scanner, right?
Interesting. This was
Yeah.
a response of the EU to basically cyber and hacking threats to the financial system, correct?
Yes, and in generally, it reflects the importance of being, let's say, really aware of all the dangers that are combined with it. Lastly, you will lose your whole company if certain data are stolen and compromised because it is a deep lack of trust that comes with it and lack a reputation loss and so on. So companies really fear it right now and understand that it will really can end your business very quickly.
Got it. All right.
Yes.
So I think you have a few prepared slides. Can you walk us through, giving us the history and where DORA is at today and why it's relevant to us?
Of course, of course. Let me share the screen quickly.
Thanks. I see it
Can you
about
see
to
my
come
screen?
up.
Yes.
There it is.
Okay,
We see it.
super. So, of course, maybe a quick overview here. The DORA regulation, came into full force already in January, on the 17th of January, where all the so-called, implementing in regulatory standards were established. You can see that here the objective is, of course, a comprehensive framework, but what that means in detail, for example, you need to have also a third-party register active. You need to have certain risk management features. You have to have a lot of changes in your IT provider contracts that now have to reflect a certain security standard, right? So all these things are now mentioned here. So when it says here requirement, I can really say it is a very widespread regulation, and most companies had more than a year to do with implementing all these features. And some of them, there were several surveys in the industry. Some of them still fight to understand fully all the measures that you have to take to be also compliant in an operational measure. So I would say right now, fairly, most companies are kind of aware of the regulation, but still would say honestly, they're not 100% implemented. Most of them would say 80%, 90%, but still, there is still work to do, right? So
Can I have
that's what
to
I would
ask,
say.
what did the go live mean? Because I know that was a big thing that happened in January 17th.
Yes, the go live means, of course, that whenever something happens and any kind of auditor or forensic research would find out that you were not prepared according to the regulation, you have to face fines. On the other hand, you have to, for example, right now, also do a kind of regulatory reporting. There will be the first reporting due in end of March or April. That is then the ICT register where you have to show that you register all your third-party providers with more than 100 data points ready. So that's already something, let's say, very concrete to touch. Apart from that, there will be also points in this year where you have to prove that you are ready to test your DORA readiness, and also that you have to, let's say, show that you are able to make a report for incidents after a certain template, right?
Got it. Okay.
So that means they want to kind of, they want to streamline and standardize the way how you have to be aware, how you have to report a cyber incident for the industry, because as we all know, certain hacks and also certain attacks in that, for that matter, have a wide impact. Just that the CrowdStrike incident, I don't know if you remember that was with one little change or one little let's say, lack of functioning of a small part of Microsoft software immediately had impact on more than 90 million servers worldwide.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, I will give you now a short idea of maybe also deeper understanding where we are. Mostly last year, a lot of clients made a kind of a gap analysis, and then they said, okay, we need to see, after they found all these gaps, how can we adjust to that? Mostly that is then a kind of, a preparation or paper-based things like, for example, checklists and work orders and things like that, adaptation of your guidelines, processes, and other things that are really, let's say, that aim at readiness on the operational part. And then when we see, for example, here the last stage where we are right now, it means how can you put all these paper work and paper statements into daily work? How can you utilize it? How can it be really understood as a part of your daily work? And this is, for example, as I said before, creating a report over your third parties, adjust all the contracts of providers, or, for example, create a position that you have a kind of a DORA operative, a DORA officer, if you will, in your company that coordinates tasks connected with incidents or tasks connected with readiness testing, right? So all these kind of things that are really, connected with the daily work are here, and that leads me to the next part. And I think that comes now also why I am here and why am I, being invited by you, Garrett. That means what this DORA regulation has to do with the services that are connected with identity access management and particularly identity access audits, right? So when you see it here, these 4 parts, what does it mean for the DORA organization? What means for the processes? What it means for your IT operating teams? And what does it mean for a kind of, what do you test in that kind? That means, for example, when you have an identity access audit, it can help you resolving, for example, here, role conflicts on the organizational part. It can mean that you have an extension of authorizations and approvals, and that you have, for example, requirements. That means that identity access audits can help you document certain requirements that you need in terms of showing a third party that you have taken care of certain security aspects. Yeah. I don't know. I hope, Garrett, that I'm clear here, but it's
no, I understood.
it's very much, it has to do with what are your users doing in your operation. And especially, I mean, everybody knows about identity and access management and what your user has to do and what your user is able to do. But in terms of auditing the whole area, I think that your tool brings a big relief to that, let's say, difficult burden, right?
Right. Yeah, we'll show a little more of that in a bit, right?
Okay, yeah, that is, I think that, was for me an eye-opener when I first, saw YouAttest in action, what it can bring on the table here. And it immediately struck me as a kind of a, such a central function in the regard, because let's be honest, all kinds of active, for example, cyber threats through hacking are performed via either stealing a certain role, a certain login, or creating an identity that is able to do certain things. So it means it always turns around what the system is able to give you access to, preserving that you have a kind of a role or a login to do certain things. And that's all it takes. And therefore, this the auditing and the management of these identities is key. That's what I think. And that was what it, why it struck me so much that we have here a relatively small product that has a relatively, let's say, center and central function towards the, cybersecurity, and to what DORA likes to do, strengthen and harden the environment, right?
Right, exactly.
So when I go here, this is right now what we are at the moment are doing is we derive procedures from all the different angles and create procedures for the DORA regulation. That means also, for example, when we have identity access management parts that we have to look at, the first question that we ask the companies is, do you, see any kind of action that you have to do when you, for example, have a cyber incident? You have to prove who has access at the moment, who had these roles, and how can you prove that? How can you find out about the different organization and the different applications? And what does it mean? In fact, what kind of, detailed information do you need in these cases, right? So I think, Garrett, these informations, of course, that is your daily bread and butter, and you don't even think about it. But for me, it was kind of, like really a kind of, a key point in my work to see that this is really something that can help enormously any client to get around these facts, and to have, for example, to have not only the right proof, but also to have the right preparatory tool. That means that I can, for example,
And Ralph, let me just talk
make
to the
regular
audience
reviews. Yes.
for a second. There were some technical issues. There will be a full recording of this of this Audit Tuesday made available afterwards as well for the parts that were missed. Keep going, Ralph. Okay.
Okay. Was there a kind of recording a sound issue or what?
There was a LinkedIn Live issue.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but we'll have a full recording. We'll put it up on YouTube and make it available on Spotify, etc.
All right.
So
All right.
we,
Okay.
we, we've been recording
Well,
time.
here, I think what we have on this slide is very 5 key questions that you should ask yourself, or that you should ask your client, if certain things are being thought of. Here, for example, is the saved evidence sufficient in the event of a material identity incident? That means really, do you really have enough? Most people think, yeah, I have some log files here and there, but the reality will always show that it is not so easy to not only extract all these log files and find out about certain incidents, but also to have them kind of or in an organized way. So that means if you have a bunch of data, still somebody has to extract that, format that, and work on that. But for example, with an application like YouAttest, you have everything by the press of a button. And that is gives you an enormous win, not only of the time, but also it gives you essential spare moment when things are happening and they must go quick. You come very quick then more to a kind of an analyzing and to an impact assessment, rather than to be just busy collecting data. And I found that really this is a great way of spending my time, is really thinking about something and analyzing it, rather than to do some work that might be very cumbersome and complicated, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
So
That's a good
yes,
slide.
yes, that is a very good slide, of course, and it shows exactly how YouTest can help you in terms of spending less time for doing a lot of operational work, and gaining that time, of course, in order to make some valuable assessment about your activities. That is also, of course, you also save time in terms of, having a good test or a good review, because in fact, DORA tells you to make at least 1 or 2 reviews per year over all your organizations. And when whoever had worked in a company with more than 100 people, who knows how difficult it is to collect all kind of user access for, let's say something, 100 applications, 100 users, that are 10,000 entries. And to have all that done by the press of a button, and then simply just format them and have them in a comprehensive manner, that can really save you a lot of costs and also improves the quality of your work. Okay.
Absolutely.
So that was, in fact, something that I liked for these facts, that, of course, all organizations must doing who is doing what with which systems, but mostly very few are really having a comprehensive documentation, and also, kind of a means that, check on this. It's not only the simple management, which is understandable, but it's also the fact of how can you show, for example, that you have the right number of users for a right number of roles, or do you have, for example, your license management under control? Do you have, let's say, different levels of users? That means you have maybe for one important application only 2 or 3 roles, and in others you have, let's say, 20 roles. So that is also something where you need to check on your on the diversity of your environment, how complicated it is to, let's say, have a final and good report about all of these things. Well, I can right now wrap it up for these three messages. Of course, become DORA compliant. That is something that is all for all financial companies in Europe right now the case. They all have to do it. That means, to come back to your question, Garrett, that from the 17th of January on, there is really the, let's say, the task and the duty of all financial companies. That means banks, asset managers, financial service companies, and insurances to be compliant for that date, right? That means really in a preparatory way, but also for the regulatory reporting and also for all kinds of incidents that might happen. And we just had just recently, we had a larger incident here in Luxembourg, where also several governmental institutions had a denial of service attack, where over the course of half a day, none of these services were available for more than a million users. That is like, you know, a major catastrophe. And it brings me always to the same thing. It is like you cannot early enough start that. It's never too early, and you should really do your homework here, you know. Of course, here on the second point, when we say analyze what you really need, it means also in terms of identity access management, you really need to see whether you are rightly equipped and whether you are really equipped in situations where every minute and every second counts. That's what I always say, is like you can never be sure unless something happens. Mostly people, unfortunately, learn also only when the damage is done, right? I think, Garrett, you can tell it. You work so long in IT security, right? With cyber security matters that I'm sure you can tell a lot of stories about that when the damage is done. And hopefully, you know, we are always having the right questions, you know. And if you are interested, also to the listeners, you can have these slides, and you can reread these questions and go through these questions, right?
Right. Perfect. So one question I had, just right in, I get asked. So obviously, as you stated, who has to comply? You know, the companies in EU. What about the foreign companies that have customers and operations in the EU countries? Do they have to comply to DORA?
Well, actually, everybody who makes a business towards Europe, that means, for example, also for an American company that provides services, and also the other way around, when a European company provides services for somebody outside of Europe, that does not matter. Europe, or the European regulator, says that everything that touches
I didn't know
Europe
that. So
in any
even
way.
the EU companies, if they're doing business outside of EU, are under DORA. Interesting. Okay.
Yes, well, because they have to, you know, keep their standards. If, for example, I give you that example, is that provider subcontractors that are for, you know, are important for kind of an essential service that is run somewhere in Europe. You know, it doesn't matter which part you are from that process. You need to be DORA compliant because you deliver a part of a essential and critical service, you know. That can, for example, that is something that is due for brokers who make, for example, a settlement in Singapore for certain orders, but the order is basically for a fund in, let's say, Luxembourg. So the fund business is in Luxembourg, and let's say the company must be compliant with DORA. So also that company that does that part of the service in Singapore has to comply with it, right? Because they are a part of a process that reaches Europe, right? And so whatever you do, you should be aware of the fact that, of course, regulations also catch you cross-border, right? And that means that better safe than sorry. Of course, you can ask companies like us, because we are quite of course ready to help any kind of financial company regarding these regulations. That is our bread and butter, right?
And just asking, because GDPR was first in privacy, and then there was NYCR 500 out of New York, and then the CCPR and CCPA out of California.
Yeah.
Do you see the other countries or states in the US or elsewise copying EU DORA? Or how do you see this?
I see it, right now. I see already several companies trying to, keep up with these standards, or at least what they do is they compare these standards. A very famous example is always Switzerland, because Switzerland, as you know, is not part of the EU, but they have always quite interesting and quite telling comparisons with certain European regulations. Especially since the Switzerland also has a lot of international connections with Asia and with the United States. I think that's always a good example for that matter. And so, for example, they have made a total makeover of their cyber laws according to DORA standards, and they were quite proud to say, yeah, we have also something that is on the level of DORA. And of course they say certain aspects are even better, but that's just the Swiss.
Yeah, so there you go. But
yeah, but that's okay. I mean, I find that good.
And,
I can tell you that in the States it's the same. I think that the United States right now, they have quite a good approach towards regulation in terms of being comparable to European standards.
Got it. All right. Let me show a quick slide or two, and then I'm going to have Kashif show what YouAttest does, and
Yes.
that's the offering Concedro does around YouAttest.
Yes. Okay. There's one little thing I want just to say for
Please.
later. Yeah, we will have a kind of a special offering. So please stay tuned and don't leave the room, because we will show you a very interesting offer later. Okay.
Yes, and in fact, Nazia just put it in the chat. Thanks, Nazia.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Real quick. So, and Kashif's chomping at the bit there. So let me hit a button here, and in theory, I will show this. Okay, screen 2. Did I hit the button? Okay, so just FYI. So this is the Concedro YouAttest partnership. Just to let you know, what we do is we automate access reviews, which Ralf did a magnificent job, and the slides will be posted, going through how identity rights, identity permissions are a big part of EU DORA and these other regulations. Basically, what the product does is automate your painful spreadsheet sending out of emails, and we have trained partners like Concedro to do this. All right, relevant to all these other regulations as well. Okay, so you knock this out for your GDPR, for your EU DORA. You also can use these same reports and these others. How it works is the following. Here's the risk manager, and I highly recommend the Concedro, Concedro to be your risk manager. They understand the regulations and the guidances and the frameworks. They understand which identities need to be consumed to make you compliant. Those get consumed into YouAttest. It's a cloud-based SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. And then the product itself pushes out. And you'll see Kashif is going to do a quick demo for us of Azure AD, just showing you how we do a compliance on Azure AD. Just think any identity resource you have, and it automates the workflow and then creates an attestation report, creates a report for you that is then included into your compliance measures and also utilized by all of our customers and the security team for cleaning up your identities. When I mean clean up, I mean removing excess privileges, removing orphan and siloed accounts. Take it away, Kashif. Show what the product actually does.
Thank you, Garrett. Hello, Ralph. Let me just go ahead and share my
Yes. Hello,
screen.
Kashif.
Hi. And please let me know when you have the visual.
We
Yes.
have visual.
Great. Let me just. All right. So, as in the beginning, Garrett did mention that I'm going to be showing you this for Entra ID, Microsoft Azure AD, formerly called, but we can do it for any IAM platform, including Okta, Jump Cloud, PingOne, on-prem AD, or if you have anything that is not inside your IAM, we can do a CSV import as well. So for the sake of this demo, I'm going to show you how we integrate with any IAM system, any IAM platform, and how we pull the entitlements from your IAM platform when you need to see who has access to what within the system. So here is the integration part, which we have made quite simple, at least on the front end. All we need from the clients are these three keys: APIs, the tenant IDs, and the client ID. And that's all it takes. After this basic API integration, you will be able to run the audits. But if you want to enable your single sign-on so that you can use your own organizational credentials, that will take another 10 to 15 minutes. So essentially, we are talking about anywhere between 30 minutes to 60 minutes in terms of deployment time. That's how
And
fast we
just
can deploy the
FYI,
tool.
that's why we work with partners like Concedro. They can drop right in and get your audit started that week. Okay.
Exactly.
So it's not, don't think of this as like, oh God, I'm behind my audit. I can't get to this. No. You can knock this out. That's why we have this partnership. Take it away.
Exactly. And that's how we train our partners, and that's how they deploy the solution within 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and you'll be creating
Yeah.
your audits the same day with the help of
Nice.
Ralph and his team. Um, so let me just go ahead and create an audit. This is what we're going to be doing here. Let's say I want to see who has access to a certain application or a number of applications within my environment. I'll go and choose my API source, which is Azure AD or Entra ID in this case. Give it a name. For example, I want to do the audit for finance application I'm using within the company. So I'll name it accordingly. And then this date represents the time you would like to allow your managers and reviewers to do the certification or recertification of the users who have access to this application to justify whether they need it or they don't. So let's say you can allow 2 days to 2 weeks or 1 week, depending upon the number of users involved in this particular audit. I'll just choose 2 days and keep it simple. Go next. Because of the integration now, it will display all the applications that users are getting authenticated to using your IAM platform. So you know who is getting access to which application through your IAM platform, in this case, Entra ID. You can go for multiple applications, or you can target a single application in this case, just like I'm targeting the finance application here. Click done. That's it. It's a click-through process. You don't have to do anything manual in here. It's clicking through the GUI. The user interface helps you identify which audit are being and what information is being pulled from your IAM. And when we say information, it's just the metadata. We're not pulling your credentials, we're not pulling passwords or anything of that sort that can raise eyebrows that, well, that could be a security concern. No, we are just pulling entitlements, what kind of role this user has, what's the title of that person, what's the email ID of that person, what kind of access he has to this application, so that you can decide whether you need to grant access or revoke access to that user. Let me just go ahead refresh, and I think we have pulled enough information. Okay, we have pulled 4 unique users for the finance application here. The users against that targeted application, these are the basic attributes: the username, email ID of that user, which is the unique identifier in here, user's manager's information, who is he reporting to today, and then a bunch of other details over here just to save the real estate on the page. It shows you the last password change. It shows you last login date if it's available. It shows you the title of that user. It shows you the role of that user and the status as well, whether the user is active or inactive within your system. Why is he able to, have access to this application that justifies? Now that you have the information, before you were doing everything on an Excel sheet, right? One person was checking with every single manager, every single department if this access is required for that user ID. But now you as an admin, you just have to create this audit and assign it to the relevant people down the stream, as head of departments or group owners or the application owners or the supervisors or team leads. And this information helps you when you want to do it automatically, because it shows you who they are reporting to today within the organization. And with a click of a button, you can just auto delegate these users to their respective managers that they're reporting to. So you can choose between a manager and the owner, application or group owner, right, in case of group audit. And what it does, upon confirmation, the tool starts sending out notifications to these managers and these supervisors whom you have targeted. It shows you under delegated actions that a task has been assigned to this manager by Kashif and to this manager by Kashif, being the admin. What the other person, the manager, sees on his end or her end is this real-time notification. It could be a Slack message, it could be an email, along with the link to this audit, which when they click on, will take them right into that user audit and will show them the reports or the people that report to them instead of showing them everybody that was involved in that campaign. So these are the 2 people that are reporting to me, being their manager. So I can decide, again, with a click of a button, I can decide what to do with this person. Mark has been working with this department, so I can certify his access to this application. Okay, let's do that. But this person here, Shiraz, maybe either he has left the organization, in which case I'll recommend to revoke his access, or he has changed roles or moved departments, in which case I'll delegate him to the right manager if I know who that person is. If not, I can delegate him back to the admin to assign him to the right manager. And I can put in a comment here. Let's say I revoke. I can justify why did I choose to revoke his access by putting in a comment in here. And that will be served as a justification to my action, to my recommendation, and will be part of the final report, final evidence for the auditors to look into and not questioning about it. That's it. That's all you have to do. And managers can go back to their day job, and I, as an admin, can refresh and see who has completed the task. And I see the progress here. Let's see, the other manager has also completed. So I'll just assume I'm that second manager just to show you the audit at its 100%. Now, all the admin needs to do is go back to the list and execute if there are any revocations in there. We can automatically write those revocations in your Entra ID or in your IAM platform by suspending access of that ID from getting access to that resource. So it could be a group, it could be an application. So as soon as you mark this as complete, it will give you the option to execute those revocations either on application or group level or on the overall user access level. And it will only suspend the access of the user, will not remove or delete that user until the local IT goes in and decides to remove this ID for good. But we only suspend or deactivate that user so that this person does not have access to this particular application or group. At the end, you can have either a PDF report or a CSV format. If you're dealing with a large number of users, then CSV would make more sense. But if you're dealing with, a couple of hundred users, well, a neat and tidy report would be the PDF format. And that's essentially the whole process, the whole flow, whichever audit you need to run. If you're running application audit, you're running a group audit, you're running an individual user audit to target certain individuals, for example, admins, all the admins, the process is essentially the same across the platform. It's just that what use case you want to run. And this is there is something we are doing proactively as well, or we are letting clients do proactively because we have something called the triggers. So if there is something that is changing within the system, right, you don't know anything about it until it's too late. Those triggers help you identify those changes ahead of time before they could do any damage within the system. So that's a proactive approach YouAttest provides the client. They can set up those triggers, they can set up conditions whenever there is a change in user profile or there is any change in the group, somebody's trying to escalate privileges, you will be the one to get notified, and it will also create an audit out of that change and will assign it to somebody within the organization to say yes or no to it. So that's the whole process, but over to you, Garrett, if there's anything else.
Yeah, let me show, because I'm gonna show the money shot, which is let me go here 1 second. I'm really good at Zoom. Okay, let me hit a button here. Where is the Zoom? Right there, and hit the share happiness. So here's the report that gets generated. This is the report that Concedro gets and then can put it into your overall compliance. Okay. Now, my friend Ralph, help explain to the audience what our what our offer is.
Okay.
Special offer for the audience for being so kind to join us on this Zoom this afternoon in Europe and this morning in the West Coast.
Yes, if you find this compelling, and we wanted to have this clear, that is for the first 4 requests that reach us, then we will offer a free 4-hour workshop that includes a step-by-step method to optimize your identity access management, of course, plus the audit functions, a detailed product demo that you just saw with live data that we can input, right, and walk you through it. And of course, a free Ask Me Anything on the subjects of DORA and identity access management and audit. Okay, I think this is a very good offer for you because it gives you valuable information and shows you what kind of things you have to look at if you're speaking of DORA and identity access management. And in the second part, of course, that is something, if you're really interested and if it catches your eye and you say, that's exactly what I need, we offer a free 2-week proof of concept that gives you already the platform at access, and you can, check out with 25 licenses, means for 25 users that you could then run audits from, and of course, prove on your own taste that you could prove that you are DORA ready with such a great tool. Okay, we will of course also give you professional support, help you set it up. As Kashif said, this is really a piece of cake to do all these things in a, let's say, affordable and reasonable time, so that you really can make these 2 weeks of full use and give you a good overview and a good decision ground to look for further cooperation with us. Okay.
Perfect.
So what do you think of it, Garrett?
I know, I think it's great. And I think this is exactly what people need. I just had a big discussion this weekend about offerings and stuff, and it's not enough anymore to just have an offering. You have to have people understand how to actually use it, and that's where Concedro comes in. And I like it. I like it. I hope the audience takes advantage of this. And we'll post that. I think Nazi already did in the LinkedIn chat. Okay, we got one or two questions. Let's just take these. So Ralph, I like this one. How does DORA and GDPR relate? Are there controls similar, or help us with that?
Well, GDPR has one big thing. It is all about your customers' data. You know, you have to protect your customers' data, whereas DORA is all about digital resilience. That means how safe are you, and how can you strengthen, on how strong are you to save data. So the aspect is very clear. GDPR concentrates on the data of your client, and DORA concentrates on the strength of your cyber resilience and of the level of security that you can offer to your client. I hope that's clear.
No, that's really good. There's one I'll take. It says, how often are access reviews being done or should be done? I liked what Ralph said. He said, first of all, straight out for compliance, twice a year. Okay. What I'm seeing now in the regulated industries, and the thing is, they're doing twice a year for all your users, but you're doing monthly on basically the PAM rights. Your key rights and privileges around your Amazon, your GCP, your Azure, your et cetera, your value things. Those are being reviewed once a month now by the industries that care, and that's all but impossible without a partner or a product like YouAttest. Okay, last one. This is a good one for you, Ralph. So, who will be enforcing DORA? What is the body that enforces DORA?
Well, you have extra. In Europe, it is the ESA, the ESA, which is actually a threefold regulator. It's a regulator that includes the EBA, which is the European Banking Authority, the ESMA, which is the European Security and Market Authority. That means that is everything for asset managers, and the EIOPA, which is the regulator for all insurances matters. That means really DORA is protected and guided through a joint regulatory authority that combines these three branches and industries. So alone from that, you can see how important that is for the European Commission and the European Union. And yeah, I cannot, let's say enough. Don't underestimate it. The auditors will come, and I think the regulators also said already very clearly, we help you, but we also will, will ask you to prove that you are really compliant. And if you're not compliant, you have to face fines. If you, let's say, prove that you really seem not to understand what's at risk here. So my impression is, be ready for it, or otherwise you can really run a very risky game, and you should really be aware that any kind of the regulators that I mentioned before will come at you.
Yeah, and they did. I mean, and that's what you said. It's real now as of January 17th, right?
Exactly. And there will be already, the industry said that they will have reviews of the standards regularly. And we are anyway from Concedro, we are very close to the regulators, and we inform our clients, of course, always regularly about the latest developments and standards.
All right, good deal. All right, any last words for our audience about the processes and procedure around EU DORA and how you can help?
Well, of course, we are reachable and at our normal www.concedro.com web pages. And I think you can reach us here from also my normal accounts that you can see via LinkedIn or our web pages here. And of course, if you know Garrett will always be friendly enough to give the contacts further, and I will do, of course, the same so that we will stay a family even over the big ocean that
There
divides
you
us.
go.
But yeah, we are working together since several years, and I must say it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, this is great. Can you see my screen? Did I show it?
Yes.
Perfect. So there's our contact information. We can be reached, and you can start with Concedro because they work with us, and it's probably better off. Okay, Ralph, as always, fantastic, great stuff, and thanks supporting Cast out there.
You're welcome.
All the best.
Okay. Cheers
Thank
and
you.
thanks you. Thanks
All
for
the
the
best, team.
invitation.
Bye.